Hello friends, in this video we are going to discuss about the aldosterone. In our previous video we have discussed about cortisol. Biosynthesis is described earlier in my previous video. Please watch that video and I will also give link below in description box. First we are going to discuss about the mode of action. As aldosterone is a lipid soluble hormone, so it has receptors present in the cytoplasm and it is lipid soluble, so it can also easily cross cell membrane. So it is lipid soluble, it crosses cell membrane and bind to the receptors present in the cytoplasm, and after binding to receptors present in cytoplasm it will form hormone receptor complex which will then migrate to nucleus. Okay, then migration occurs to nucleus, and after going to nucleus it will causes certain gene expression by binding to hormone response element. After gene expression, transcription will occur which will lead to formation of mRNA. Okay, first mRNA will be formed and then this mRNA will form protein which is directed by aldosterone. So this was the mode of action of the aldosterone. It is similar to cortisol, no difference. Now coming to the regulation of aldosterone secretion. First is adrenocortical hormone which is released from pituitary gland. It increases aldosterone secretion, but overall effect is minor. ACTH has no bigger role in regulation of aldosterone secretion. ACTH mainly regulate cortisol secretion. Okay. The second one is effect of electrolytes. This is the main regulatory step for the aldosterone secretion. If potassium is increased in plasma and sodium is decreased, then it will induce aldosterone secretion, because aldosterone lead to the excretion of potassium and reabsorption of sodium. Okay, so this is the main regulatory step for the aldosterone secretion. Increase in potassium and decrease in sodium in plasma will lead to stimulation of aldosterone secretion. The third one is effect of renin and angiotensin 2, as we have discussed in RAS mechanism. This is the third regulatory step for the aldosterone secretion, and the last two is the most important. Effect of electrolytes, that is potassium and sodium, and the effect of renin and angiotensin 2. Okay, then moving to the Conne'S syndrome. What is Conne'S syndrome? Basically it is due to the primary hyperaldosteronism. Okay, there are two types of hyperaldosteronism, primary and secondary. We will discuss later on secondary. First we are discussing primary hyperaldosteronism. It is due to the tumor of zona glomerulosa. From zona glomerulosa aldosterone is secreted and also synthesized there. Okay, so if any tumor is occurring in zona glomerulosa, then it will lead to the hyper secretion of the aldosterone, so it is known as hyperaldosteronism. Okay, so it will causes various effects. The first one is hypernatremia, because it will absorb more and more sodium, because I have said that aldosterone has function of reabsorption of sodium, so it will absorb more and more sodium which lead to the hypernatremia, and hypokalemia, because it will increase excretion of potassium. Okay, and it will also lead to the hypokalemic alkalosis, which we will discuss later on. Now it will also increase hypertension. It will cause hypertension because it is retaining more and more sodium. It also increase ECF volume. Okay, because of the retention of sodium, water will also follow, and which will increase ECF volume. But there will be no edema due to the aldosterone escape. Okay, sodium is increased, but there will be no edema due to the aldosterone escape. What is aldosterone escape? We are going to discuss. And this is the main difference between primary hyperaldosteronism and secondary hyperaldosteronism. In primary hyperaldosteronism, there will be no edema, absence of edema completely due to the aldosterone escape. But in secondary hyperaldosteronism, there will be no aldosterone escape. What is aldosterone escape? I guess a patient which is suffering from primary hyperaldosteronism will initially retain sodium, as I have discussed. Hypernatremia will occur. Okay, and when sodium is retained, then water is also retained, which is increasing ECF volume, as we have discussed here. And this increased ECF value, when crosses a certain limit, then sodium excretion is stimulated mainly by the ANP, which is atrial natriuretic factor, which is released from atria of the heart. Okay, and this ANP will stimulate Na plus excretion, and this will lead to the prevention of edema in primary hyperaldosteronism. Okay, so question may be asked that aldosterone escape is basically related to, then the answer will be atrial natriuretic factor, and due to this edema is prevented in primary hyperaldosteronism. Now moving to the secondary hyperaldosteronism. Okay, In this also aldosterone secretion will be increased, but due to extra adrenal causes. Primary hyperaldosteronism means adrenal causes, that is tumor of the zona glomerulosa or like that, and in secondary the causes will be extra adrenal, okay, like nephrosis, cirrhosis, congestive heart failure. These are the most common causes of the secondary hyperaldosteronism. So as I have told earlier, that the main difference between primary hyperaldosteronism and secondary hyperaldosteronism are the presence of edema, because edema is present in secondary hyperaldosteronism due to the absence of aldosterone escape, and secondary increased renin activity is also seen in secondary hyperaldosteronism. Okay, now we are moving for the adrenocortical insufficiency. Basically there are two types of adrenocortical insufficiency: primary adrenocortical insufficiency and secondary adrenocortical insufficiency, and there will also be tertiary. Basically three types: primary, secondary and tertiary. So see here, the primary adrenocortical insufficiency is called as Addison's disease. Means adrenocortical insufficiency means it is not secreting aldosterone, cortisol in a amount which is required for the normal functioning. Okay, so decreased secretion of adrenocortical hormones, aldosterone and cortisol will be seen in this, and this is due to the tuberculosis and autoimmune diseases. Okay, in tuberculosis and certain autoimmune diseases, it is commonly seen that the secretion of aldosterone and cortisol is decreased. Okay, and this is known as Addison's disease, and it is also called as primary adrenocortical insufficiency. Now coming to the secondary and tertiary, as we are knowing that cortisol secretion is stimulated by ACTH, which in turn is stimulated by CRH. Okay, so it also involve hypothalamus and pituitary gland. So if ACTH secretion is diminished or decreased, then it will also lead to the cortisol secretion decrease. So if ACTH secretion is diminished, it will be called as secondary adrenocortical insufficiency. And if CRH will be decreased, because it is leading from hypothalamus, CRH is stimulating ACTH, which in turn is stimulating cortisol. If CRH is decreased, then it will be called as tertiary adrenocortical insufficiency. Okay, so this is adrenocortical deficiency, and this is all about the